Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen Benelli. This is the Reiki Lifestyle Podcast here with Robyn. Hi, Robyn.
Hi, everybody.
And our wonderful guests, Lena and Muniqui, here from Japan. Hi, you guys.
Hey everybody, how
Hey,
are
everyone.
you?
We're glad you're here. There's so much to say about these two that we're going to get right into it, but just to give a brief bio, we met 10 years ago now in Japan, and I'm going to let them tell that part of the story. It's part of their story. But we met in Japan, and we have been sharing Reiki and learning Reiki together for all of these years. And I'm really honored to be here with both of you, as always. And thank you for all that you do in Japan to honor the traditions of Reiki there. They both have a studio in a Reiki, I'm not sure if you call it a Reiki studio, in Kyoto, Japan, and also Sendai, Japan. And they teach Reiki. They are both Reiki practitioners, and they also spend a lot of time on Mount Kurama and also take groups and individuals on journeys to Mount Kurama. They teach on Mount Kurama. Lena has been really instrumental in William Rand and I being able to teach on Mount Kurama. Muniqai's support and help always. And without either of them, we would not have the same experience we get to have when we are in our classes in Japan. Lena has been very instrumental in placing the sixth peace grid on Mount Kurama. A huge gift for all of us. That was a long process. Again, we'll see if our story takes us there. But anyway, without further ado, I think I will just go ahead and turn it over to the two of you, and let's start with your story, wherever
Well,
you feel called to start.
thank you, Colleen, and thank you, Robin, for having us. It's a joy to be with you. And it was, at least for, we did not expect to be here after all these years. And Reiki has really brought us on a journey. And even though we met 10 years ago, like in one sense, our journey really began like in 2002, because I was in Japan working as an English teacher, and it was happened to be in a bookstore. And I'm picking up books, just looking at what's going on, what's the latest stuff. And I pulled out the what's called the original Reiki handbook by Dr. Mikao Usui that Frank Arjava Petter and his team had translated into English. And I was spoken to, and the message was, get this book, it will come in handy one day. And being a spiritual person, I was like, I'm very sure, okay, no one's around me, so I wasn't hearing anything. So I bought the book, I flipped through it, nothing that was in it made sense to me at the time. But I bought it and I just put it on my shelf, knowing that one day it'll come in handy. And it stayed there for 14 years. That I would occasionally pick it up, look at it. Okay, I guess it'll come in handy one day, put it back, and go on about my business. So 14 years later, it came in handy. And for that part, we'll pass it over to Lena for their part of the story.
Yeah, which is like a little bit strange to get English book in Japanese store. Usually we have maybe small section of the English books. You may have 20, 30, maybe maximum 100, and having that book there, it's like very, very strange thing to be. Um, so yeah, anyway, as for me, I was born in Ukraine, and in 2003, I came to Japan directly from Ukraine, and all this time I am in Japan. I worked in a Japanese cell phone company for 12 years before I transitioned into full-time Reiki practitioner. teacher, doing various projects. And a very interesting thing that people outside of Japan, thinking that when they come to Japan, everywhere will be Reiki. However, what people don't know is that due to Reiki history, unfortunately, Reiki not that much popular in Japan the way it is in the West. And me, myself, I heard of Reiki back in 2015 from my non-Japanese friend who introduced me to Reiki. She was not a Reiki practitioner, but she introduced me to Reiki, introduced me to the person in Japan who do Reiki. So that's how I got into Reiki. But nobody ever spoke around me about Reiki. I've never heard of it. So yeah, it's a very interesting story. And when people ask me, what do you do in Japan? It is a little bit challenging for me to say that I do Reiki, because first question will be like, what's that? Yeah. So that's just in short.
But how did you how did you come to the Reiki? Like, how did it enter your life? Because I got the book, and then circumstances that
Okay.
the circumstances.
Yeah. So when my friend introduced me to Reiki, I was like, yeah, what's that? And she repeatedly been telling me, and I was like, yeah, let me try a Reiki session. And I contacted a Japanese lady who came to our home with her Reiki table. And after the Reiki session, I feel like something really heavy was lifted off of me. And I felt like I could breathe. I felt like my whole organs started to function. It felt to me like vitality of my whole body was diminished. So after Reiki session that night, I got download of action plan from 6 months from now. What do I need to do? What do I need to focus? What do I need to stop doing? And what I have to do? And many things, of course, didn't make sense on my human level. But the message was very clear that, no, this is what you have to do. And some things to this day, I'm reflecting sometimes thinking, oh, I repeatedly think why I had to do what I had to do, what Reiki told me back then. So, and I got just so fascinated by Reiki. And however, the person who were giving Reiki sessions for us, she was not encouraging us to teach, to learn Reiki, even though she could teach us. And she were more presenting it like it was her special gift. While she had some amazing qualities, she was not really telling us that we could learn it. And I forgot how, but I somehow figured out that Reiki can be, you can learn it through going through the training. And, but I thought, because I never heard it in Japan, and I thought that I had to find someone outside of Japan and go out of Japan and learn it that way. And unexpectedly, I found my yoga teacher in Tokyo, and we live in the northeast of Japan. Our work is in Kyoto, so we kind of go between two places right now. And at that time, our yoga teacher in Tokyo, we found out that he was a Reiki practitioner at that time already for 25 years at that point, which means that he got probably his Reiki in 90s. And he is originally half Japanese, half Hawaiian. So we learned like really that time, like Takata Sensei, like style of Reiki, I would say. And immediately I contacted him. I couldn't wait for the group class because I really like wanted to learn it. And at that time, what for me, like while of course me was one of the priorities, is because I heard that I can do this over the distance, and moved to Japan, and I couldn't visit Ukraine that frequently as I wanted. So I was like, oh, I can do Reiki for my mom over the distance and help her that way. So one of the reasons that I learned Reiki was that distance Reiki that we practice. So, and then after going through the Reiki level 1, again, I was amazed. And of course, I was like, Monica, you have to, you have to do it. So I kind of sent him on the Reiki training. And I told him that my birthday gift, the best birthday gift will be, is for you to go and get your Reiki training. So, and in that book that that Monica was talking about, he keeps the receipt from his Reiki training, and the date of his Reiki training is my birthday. So,
So if you ever visit us and when you pull out the book and we'll just open it up and you'll pull out the receipt, like think of it like if, sometime in the future, it'll be a historical document, the date of my first Reiki training. But there's one thing I want to back up, is that after the friend told Lena about Reiki, before she originally got the Reiki training, she came to me and asked, have you heard of this thing called Reiki? And at that point, I remembered the book on my shelf. So I went to the book, pulled it off, and I go, oh, you mean this? So in my mind, I thought that was the purpose that I was told 14 years ago. One day this will come in handy to help Lena on her spiritual journey. I said, okay, great. It served its purpose. She can use it, and good luck to you. And it's not that I was resistant or opposed to Reiki, but I have over 20 plus years of dealing with spirituality and spiritual practices. And since I had never heard of Reiki besides that, having that book on my shelf, okay, it's good for you, but I don't know if it's anything for me. And when Lena was suggesting that I need to get the Reiki training, and I was just like, okay, it'll happen if it's meant to happen. It wasn't a priority. That's what I'm trying to say. And then finally, when I got my very first Reiki session, the same way Lena got 6 months worth of downloads, I felt so wiped clean. That's the only way I can describe it. Like a cup that is so wiped, so clean, it looks like it never had water in it. That's the way I felt after my first Reiki session. And because my mind is very busy and has a lot of mind chatter, it was the quietest it had ever been in my life. And, I, not to be funny, but like, I don't know, maybe sometimes when you have some clients and they come out of their Reiki session and they're looking around at their hand, like, is this the real world? Wow. I had that. I went through that. So I know what that experience is. And I thought about all of the people in my community back home in Phoenix, Arizona, and other places in America who do not know Reiki exists. And the reputation Reiki had was something that was not, the reputation Reiki had did not lend itself to being something that people of my community would even be interested in, at least according by reputation. And so I said, if I can feel this good after one session, I want to know as much as I can and learn as much as I can so I can help share this helpful tool, because everyone deserves the chance to feel as good as I feel now. So ever since then, I've been on fire to learn all I can to help with the proper transmission of Reiki's knowledge, its existence, and the usefulness and practicality of it. That's the other part, the practicality of it. So yeah, so that's in a nutshell. In a small nutshell.
A small nutshell. Well, and then go ahead and share how we met because that was also really serendipitous.
Um, After Lena had shared with me about, Lena had been telling me for months, you have got to hear this Reiki lady. She's just, I mean,
No, podcast.
you have to
Reiki
hear this Reiki lady's podcast
podcast. Yes.
because it's just phenomenal. Because Lena was listening to the Reiki Lifestyle Podcast as all the time. And so, like I said, I was like, yeah, I'll get around to it. After I had that first Reiki session, and I immediately went and got my first Reiki training level 1 in September. And so the date was the September, I guess it was for us, it was September 30th. Maybe for you, it would be September 29th, 2016 Reiki Lifestyle Podcast, where you and Robyn were discussing what was then Holy Fire 2 Reiki. And it was like, I don't know if this image will come through, but like picture you're turning on some music and like every word was like literally screaming at me, screaming. And I basically the feeling was, this is it. This is what your whole life has been preparing you for. Pay attention. It's here right now. And the words that you said on that podcast, Colleen and Robyn, you were there too, of course. But the way you described Holy Fire Reiki and the history of Reiki in general touched me to the core in a way that nothing else ever has had ever since. I still refer people to that podcast to this day. 2016 podcast.
I have to go back and listen also.
Because you said several things in there that I haven't heard either you or even William say since. But it's those qualities of that particular one that I still refer people. And at the end of that podcast, you mentioned that you and William were going to be coming to Japan to do some filming to do some things around. And I immediately emailed you and said, hey, I'm a new level 1 practitioner. I'm in Japan. I heard you're coming. It would be nice if we could just meet, have some coffee. I'd like to meet you. I was so amazed. And you said that, yeah, William will be having a lecture in Tokyo on the date of November 22nd. And I freaked out because the day after, Lena and I were already scheduled to be in Tokyo for our level 2 Reiki training. So it was, the date was October 22nd. So the next day we're already going to be in Tokyo for our level 2 Reiki training. So we changed all our plans. We moved everything around to make sure that we could get there to hear and attend William's lecture and meet you in person. And sometimes we go back over and look at those original pictures of the date that we first met. And your husband Robyn was there, and we got to experience the Ocean of Holy Love experience for the very first time. And I came out of that experience and I just said to Lena, I don't care how much money we have to spend. I don't care where we have to go on planet Earth. We're going to do this. This we're going to do. And I said to you, Colleen, that time that I feel like we're being invited to this. And you just, that's how it happens. Yeah. And so 10 years later, here we are.
Such an amazing story. So much has happened in between then and now, and all of our lives and each of our lives. Yeah. Wow. So you ended up completely compelled to do Reiki full time all the way to where you are today. So go ahead and share your story today and where you are.
Yeah, after that, Colleen, you went to Kurama. I think for you it was first visit to Japan, right? At
Yes.
that
Mhm.
time. And you guys were on your Reiki historical trip, and you stayed in Kurama, like I think for a week, was doing recordings. And that's how you guys came up with that the facility where you were staying, that you could probably have a class there. However, the facility more working, I would say, more with Japanese clients, and for them to accept groups like we were planning to have. So would needed someone who would be speaking Japanese and would be organizing all necessary arrangement before, during, and whatever needed after. So you reached out to me if I would be able. You first reached out to announce that this is the idea you have with William to come back right next year. So, and if I would be able, like, to do that. And at that time I was like, what? Like, I don't know if I can do that, and never done this. So I was very doubtful of myself, and I had to go through a lot of kind of inner work just to say yes and look into possibility. And So basically, when we met you, we got our Reiki level 2 training with our teacher. Then 1 month later, we completed our Usui Reiki master training. So basically, that foundation helped us to be eligible for the September of the next year to take a class with you and William. That actually happened on Mount Kurama back in 2017. So that was our first experience to do the classes. You had classes, and we were participating at that time. We were really amazed how wonderful it were. And since that we learned Holy Fire, Reiki, and at that time, so it was 2017. So we are located in the northeast of Japan, Miyagi Prefecture, Sendai City. So back in 2011, there was maybe people remember still, there was a tsunami, and there was earthquake that triggered tsunami, and situation at a nuclear power plant. It's all being happening here. So at that time, we had such a terrible, I would say, situation. I actually lived in the town by the ocean at that time, and a lot of people died. A lot of my friend died in this tsunami. So, and just a lot of the whole Northeast region just was going through a big trauma, big depression. And I was wondering, how can we help people? Like, what can I do? And at that time, what I was doing, some volunteer work, going to shelters, delivering some goods and things, helping people to settle in their new home, or like kind of on this level help. And when we got Ocean of Holy Love experience, I had a vision that because I didn't know what Holy Fire Reiki, what Reiki can do, what Usui Reiki can do in combination with Holy Fire Reiki. But the vision that I shown is that, like, kind of having 7 people on the Reiki bed at the same time, and conducting some type of healing experience, and can reach, like, rather than working one-on-one, we can do like groups healing, and possibility of what this can do. So like that's the vision that I was having. So after Reiki training on Mount Kurama, my first like priority was how can we establish a Reiki system in Japan, Holy Fire Reiki system, ICRT style of teaching Reiki in Japan. So because I wanted Japanese people to experience Reiki general and experience also Holy Fire Reiki. So that was my top things to discuss, how to establish that. And my first journey was starting with translating manuals from English to Japanese, so Japanese people can learn it. And if they guided to teach also, so they will be able to do so also. So my journey started with that. Rather than having 3 months of translation, it's ended to be like 5 years or something. So it's just been stepped into journey that I had no idea what I was going into, but somehow after multiple tries and long, I would say very years of work, we were able to translate ICRT manuals and establish Holy Fire and Corona Reiki in Japan. And after that, because of kind of having that idea, establishing this Reiki system in Japan, that's how eventually I got guided that the work that I was working at that time, now I can transition from that work to be a full-time Reiki practitioner teacher. So I transitioned from that work in 2019. So yeah, let me just pause here for now. Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, so one of the things that we have talked about is that you wanted to share about some of the mistakes that you made that you would like to help other people not to make. So, can you share about that?
One of the things that I personally think that we as Reiki practitioners, especially when we're new, we're excited about Reiki, it's like, oh my God, it's how it's able to change my life and change yours, is a lot of people want to jump right from learning, taking the class, I want to help other people. Instead of remembering that the first person we need to work on is self, and looking within and applying the Reiki energy to self and looking at the areas that I need to work on for me. And it's nice to want to help others, but as the old saying goes, you can't pour water from an empty cup. And working on self first and letting the Reiki energy guide me personally has allowed me to then, it's caused people to come to me and ask for my help because they see the change in myself. After that, another thing that I'm feeling and I've seen a lot is that, well, when we become Reiki masters and we have the title Reiki master, I personally think that that just means we have decided to become a permanent student of Reiki. And that means continuing to study, continuing to read, continuing to look up what's the latest going on, what's true and what's not true. Because a lot of times what I've observed is some people get really passionate about what they've learned this from their teacher. Great. But did they investigate it? What's deeper? What's more than that? And so many people get passionate about what they believe about Reiki, and then they do not take the time to investigate, is that what they believe is actually true? Because there have been a lot of misconceptions that have been added to the story, and some of those misconceptions have become concrete truths. But when evidence says, okay, this idea was actually not original, it wasn't founded, and sometimes not factual, a lot of people they get very passionate about it because their belief sometimes is more important than what's actually factual. And we're in a position, and Lena and I are in a position to like do a lot of investigation and a lot of help to share more detailed information. And so one thing I would just recommend for all of us as practitioners is to always be open-minded to learn, knowing that there's always more to know than what we know. And we know a lot, but there's always more to know, and always be open to learning and always have the mindset of a student so that the teacher, which is Reiki itself, can teach us. Yeah.
Well, for sure, there is there is the listening to the energy of Reiki and how it teaches us on all the different levels. And then I think you're also talking about the historical basis for Reiki techniques, Reiki, the way people practice the energy of Reiki. So I think often to me there's a misunderstanding that the word Reiki actually means the energy, and then the techniques that we use to access the energy, receive the energy, and then share the energy or deliver it. Those are the techniques, and there's many right ways to accomplish the techniques. And where people get caught up often is thinking that a particular technique is the one right way. And actually, sometimes that technique really doesn't even have a historical basis, going back to Usui or Hayashi Takata or even your own inner experience, because that is also important, is Reiki takes us to our own truth. And so, what we know is Reiki techniques. Reiki can show us personal techniques that are working for each of us because of the circumstances that we're in.
Mhm.
So anyway, not to re-explain what you just said, but
No. Great. The way you phrase it is very helpful. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I see a lot of times, and over the course of years, seeing, because when I first learned Reiki, I was back in the day when the rules were super strict. And then finding out through the evidence-based history of Reiki that the rules I learned didn't have a historical basis. They had just been developed over time and passed on as now the one right way. And, for instance, the incredible innovation of the foundation hand placements that Mrs. Takata brought in. And she had a really valuable reason for innovating those hand positions, because she knew that her population, her students, would not be able to have the spiritual intuitive style of Usui sensei, the medical knowledge of Hayashi sensei, and then when she developed those hand placements, anyone could learn it, because now they just had to use those hand placements. But by the time I was trained in Reiki in 2000, that's when it became an absolute, and it became a rule that the hand placements had to be so exact and for 3 minutes, to the point that we had music that chimed every 3 minutes so we knew when we could move our hands. And we also know that Mrs. Takata did not teach that. That rule happened after she passed, somewhere between 1980 and 2000 when I learned it. And then to find out it never had a historical basis when I studied with William in 2003, that's what opened the whole thing. Now it's like, oh, I can actually place my hand where I feel guided. So anyway, I think that's an example to me I always think of as, what happened or what happens commonly when there are ideas about specifics of techniques that are kind of human made more than Reiki made.
Definitely, definitely.
So, maybe just to add to that is when I sometimes do like skill up training for Japanese people who practice Reiki, what I happen to find out is that so through the history, Reiki actually came back to Japan kind of around mid 80s, but at that moment it was already slightly modified version of Reiki. And a lot of people, Japanese people who practice Reiki for 20, 30 years, they themselves are not aware that they are practicing already slightly modified Western style of Reiki. And just through our discussion, I point out to some things that of how Reiki system gone through the history, and Japanese people themselves like, oh, what? Like, I didn't know that Usui Sensei was practiced Reiki very different than it is currently practiced in Japan. So it is very interesting. And Monica, you said that there's 4 like reverse imports.
Yes. In the book that William Rand and Arjava Petter and Walter Lubeck wrote together of Reiki, The Spirit of Reiki, I believe the
Spirit of
title is.
Reiki.
Yes. In that book, Arjava Petter, I believe it is, he wrote that there's 4 reverse imports into Japan. And meaning something started in Japan, went abroad, became popular, and had to actually be reintroduced into the Japanese population at another time. And that is shiatsu massage, macrobiotic foods, aikido, the style of martial arts that Steven Seagal was making in the movies, and Reiki. These are 4 things that are started in Japan, went abroad, and had to be reintroduced at another time after it became popular in the West. And so you were going to say that.
No, yeah.
And so it's, as Lena said, the Reiki got started a boom by coming back in 1984. And there was a big boom of people interested in Reiki. And then, of course, it subsided. And so the big thing is people in the West are so excited to come here, like Lena said. But we are part of the efforts. We have to just introduce the concept to a lot of people of what Reiki is. And that's not to be, we're not trying to make ourselves sound in more than what we are, but there are times we have to just slowly introduce the concept to the people who we're talking to, what Reiki is, even though it's from here.
When I work with Japanese clients, like for Reiki session, people more who are in their 70s or 80s, they are more open to the concept of any form of hands-on healing. And I usually hear, oh, like back when I was like a teenager, I would go to chiropractor and my chiropractor did something like that. or I kind of have experienced something similar. So I keep having that comments from more people of that age. However, for young generation, if I say I practice Reiki, they kind of tend to tie it very close with very deep psychic mediumship ability. And, people who are like teenagers or in their 20s, Japanese people, they'll be like, oh, do you see any ghosts around me? Like, or something, they would be like kind of taking it more into that direction. So yeah, it is kind of bit difficult for me to introduce myself. And after we opened a Reiki Center in Kyoto, we have location like maybe 20 minutes towards Kurama. We're still in kind of outside of the super busy touristy area of Kyoto. We have Reiki Center, and very recently, so we have Reiki Center, we have how to say a rice shop, and then we have police station, and on another side we have like very small like bookshop, and so people who come to us like looking for our like classes or sessions, our clients, they sometimes not able to exactly find the location, so they either go to police station or to the rice shop, or either they go to bookshop and like asking where is Reiki, and so, and neighbors are confused, and like this bookshop owner, like when we were actually going to teach Krama, we were kind of packing our stuff into the car, and he jumped out and he said, oh, are you or in this building, are you doing something, like can you tell me what are you guys doing? So, and it was so interesting to kind of try to explain that, and he looked like it not what he was expecting we are doing, but like I have to simply say that it's Japanese hands-on healing that's kind of originated in back in like 100 years ago, actually from location 20 minutes from here, Mount Kurama, and it is very popular in the West, and so like that's why we have all this non-Japanese people coming to us to learn this Japanese technique, so like I kind of have to wrap it up that way for Japanese people. Yeah.
So your path has actually led you to Kyoto
Mhm.
for your Reiki center there,
Mm.
and so much time on Mount Kurama and with the people of Mount Kurama, the chief priest. Go ahead and tell us about your experiences there
Mm.
and in the mountain. And, I know like for us, you, of course, organize our classes also. And I know you do that for others, but also for individuals. So kind of just tell us about the mountain. And I know with our work together, which by the way, we haven't even mentioned yet, that you guys are both in the licensed teacher training program with the ICRT, your LRMTs in Japan, and almost complete with all of your training in February in the Karuna class. So anyway, but let's go back to Mount Kurama because as we've talked, I've observed, because I'm their mentor, I've observed that mountain really drawing you to it. And, seeming like, well, of course, it's a practical decision because of having a Reiki practice there, but it's way more than that. It is such an energetic remembering for you, pulling you there. You've become such a part of the community on the mountain. So if you could share just wherever that goes for you.
Yeah, so I first went to Kurama in 2017, and Japanese people who practice Reiki in Japan, not necessarily go to visit Mount Kurama, if it's more like further locations rather than Kansai region. But for non-Japanese people, that's the who practice Reiki, that's the top destination when they come to Japan. So for us, I don't know if it was not about you and William teaching there. I don't know when we would go there and if we would go there or not. So I usually kind of think about that journey, and just for me actually to participate in your class at that time, I had to say to my work, because in Japan we don't get vacation in the corporate world, even though you have them. But for me to attend 1 week Reiki class retreat was like impossible. And at that time, I was selling iPhones in our cell phone company. So that was the time when September, when iPhone would get launched, and it's like the top busy time of the year. And in order for me to say that, to request the days off, that's usually impossible. I had to say that I will be leaving the company. I don't know when exactly, but within a year or two, I will be quitting the company and I will be transitioning to the Reiki work. And that is a necessary training for me to do so. So it had to be like that serious. I had to say that I'm about to quit. So, and at that moment, I already made decision, and so I went to Kurama, and to me, it was very. Me and Muniqui, we came, and it was a little bit kind of rainy day, and it was like very kind of auspicious like kind of feeling that I had when I came there, and seeing our host there for the first time and the unique personality she has was very kind of interesting experience among the all Japanese people that I've interacted with. So my journey started back since that time. So I would come to Kyoto maybe once a 6 months, and I would go to Kurama because I would do some like events, or I would do some just personal place, like just feeling like going and just being there. And in 2018, when I went to Kurama, which was a year after our training, I went there, and there was some feeling of worry when I went there, and I heard a message that and the local spirits were talking to me as I said, "Hi, mountain, like I'm here." And local spirit said, "Why do you think that anytime you come here is gonna be here?" And I was like, yeah, I for some reason had an expectation that anytime I go there, it will be there. And then I said, yeah, I need to think the way I think about any location in our world that we think we're going to visit, and it's going to be there. So what's happened actually 2 months after I visited Mount Kurama is the huge typhoon runs through the whole Japan, and Kyoto was hit really bad, and Mount Kurama was hit the worst. So William were teaching class in 2018 that I was also organizing, and it overlapped with that time. So people who visited Mount Kurama maybe see right now that a lot of currently young trees are growing on the slopes. But at that time, Mount Kurama, the place where Usui Sensei received the gift of Reiki, was closed for 6 months. Main temple were, I think, opened after that typhoon. People were able to go maybe 2 months later. But pretty much, even though people were able to go up on the mountain and hike down, there's still, you could see significant amount of trees that fallen. And the location of where Usui Sensei had his experience right now looks a little bit with less trees than it were, Colleen, when you were there back in 2017. So that was very deep. I felt really deep grief with seeing the destruction of the mountain. And so that was in 2018. A year later, I went with Muniqui to Sedona Reiki retreat in September. And I was I was talking with William, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna come to Japan for a couple of days." And I said, "Okay, I will meet you in Tokyo and we'll hang out with you." And he said, "Okay, cool." So and suddenly William came up with idea that the World Peace Reiki Grid project that he had since around 90s. Apparently, there's one more grid that's been sitting in the safety box that he said, "You know what? I'm gonna take it with me, and when I see you, I'm gonna give it to you to talk if there's a possibility for Kurama Temple to have it." So I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't expect that. And part of me was hoping that William will forget about that idea because I had no idea how can I come with Reiki, just talking about Reiki, talking about this project that we have, to the really one of the significant temple of Kyoto, and asking to have our stuff there. I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. And so when William came, he really brought it with him. I was like, okay, I just have to just follow what I have to do. So so we actually took Peace Grid to Usui Sensei grave in Tokyo. And when we opened it there from the box, it feels like a genie from the lamp came out, and William was like, "Hey, look at it. It's like all happy to be out," and starting to do the work. So it was very interesting that I had to take it I had to take it back to this location in northeast of Sendai, where we had this tsunami experience, and Grid was at our home for 1 month. I was scheduled to go to Kurama randomly for my own project, and I thought, okay, great timing. But we had another typhoon run through Japan again in 2019. So my trip was postponed for another month. So I took a grid in November, like 2 months later after William gave me. In the beginning of November, I took it to Mount Kurama. I was able to have an appointment with priest, and actually chief priest of Mount Kurama, he was aware of our presence on the mountains because we, in 2017, we stayed there. At that time, we didn't interact directly with the temple. However, in 2018, when distractions on Mount Kurama happened, we talked to the chief priest and we were really sad that people who came to the class we couldn't physically go any parts of the mountain of the regular trail. And we asked chief priest, are there any way we could have any location or any place on the mountain where we could like do some part of our class? And currently cable car entrance, he allowed us to use that space where we could kind of get as closer as we can be. So he was aware of me when I reached out for the grid appointment in 2019. So when I brought it to Mount Kurama, I brought it the day before. I felt like I had to bring it to Mount Kurama before. Maybe it will be accepted. I took it to the location of the main temple, and usually people who've been there in front of the main temple, there is a mandala where you would see people going and standing in the middle of mandala and feeling the energy. I placed it there, grid there, and I felt like that was like the final activation of the grid before I gave it. I kind of physically like felt like the grid, the energy went on the grid, and it felt like it kind of covered the earth from there. So, and actually, what at that time we didn't know is that COVID already started to spread. We were just not aware of it to the degree. The next day I had to talk with priest, and I took a picture of myself with grid on that mandala. And when I went back to my location in the evening, I was looking through the picture and I saw there was a sign on my side on the temple where they would kind of show what's the next event going on. And it was saying like, we are praying for world peace. And I had chills. And I was like, what is that? So when I talked to the priest next day, I asked him, what is that? And he told me that actually very similar around the time when William started his project, World Peace Project, Mount Kurama started their own project. And Mount Kurama, over the years, they formed their own unique religion. So they follow their own, they like kind of in Japanese, it's Kurama Kokyo, and like kind of if you translate it more into English would be like Kurama teachings. And through some of their projects, they founded this World Peace Project. And what they do is around the November, they bring monks from Sri Lanka and they facilitate the ceremony for world peace. And so when I talked to him about what the grid is, what it does, and if he would consider to have it somewhere officially on Mount Kurama, he said that it's very interesting that the timing of it, that I brought it, was a week before they were about to do their World Peace ceremony. And he said he cannot make a decision, even though he is a chief priest. It's interesting the way they do things in Japan. He said he have to consult with everyone whether they will be accepting it to be placed on Mount Kurama or not. So, and right after, that's when pandemic started. So Kurama was busy with that. We all were busy with our life, and I was not able to reach over the phone and try to have conversation about the grid. So actually, we were not able to have official answer about the grid until 2022. And in 2022, we were, since Japan was closed due to pandemic all this time, Colleen, reached out to you and William if there is any way we can do 100 years celebration of Usui Reiki and Usui Sensei receiving the gift of Reiki on Mount Kurama. Are there any way we can conduct online events since no one can participate in person? Robyn, with the help of you, Colleen and William, we were able to facilitate 100 years anniversary online, where Muniqui was on Mount Kurama and I was at Usui Sensei birthplace village called Taniai in the Gifu Prefecture, which is next to Kyoto. So, and during the preparation for that event, and unfortunately, that was the time, and I am from Ukraine. Those who are listening, just kind of repeat that I'm from Ukraine. I'm from the part of Ukraine that's 19 miles from the border of Russia. And my family are deeply affected, and the whole country deeply affected by what is currently going on. And that was just a 1 month after the full-scale war started. And a priest saw me on Mount Kurama the day before our 100 years event. And he said, oh, I was wondering how you're doing, how your family are doing. And we are also praying for Ukraine in our prayers. And I said, oh, yeah, by the way, like, and how about the grid? He said, yeah, it is already officially, we accepted it. And we then asked him, well, where is it? I don't see it. And he said that it is not for public view, so you cannot request it to be seen. And there is a main altar in the temple that I usually request, like you can request private prayer, and those who requested private prayer can walk into that area. And when you request private prayer, a priest will come from the room where they have where they pray, and that's where the grid is. So and I was like, okay, the grid on North Pole, South Pole, we cannot see them, right? So it's not for us to physically see that. It is about it to fulfilling its purpose and doing what it is kind of made to do. And yeah, so it is in seems to me like the best the best place it is. And back in 2023, Colleen, when you came with William after Japan was reopened, we were able to have like ceremony, and we didn't know that chief priest would be bringing the grid to the ceremony, and William was able to see grid inside of the temple, and it looked very beautiful there, I would say. So, and like kind of through that connection, then we had conversation with chief priest, because the donations from the event were also for the Mount Kurama. So we were able to physically give it to Mount Kurama for their projects with rebuilding Mount Kurama. And we were able to have a conversation with chief priest about what are they currently doing. And it was interesting to learn that they are also learning to be even more in sync with the nature, listening to the energy of the mountain, energy to the trees, plants, and animals, and being even more in communion with nature. So pretty much all of these things kind of naturally formed a connection with mountain itself, with the temple. People who work there, when I go, they know us. And when you guys come, ICRT come to teach, we now it's like a part of the class where we do official like ceremony in the temple, like blessing ceremony. It's become like a part of the class right now. And this time, so officially, the chief priest mother was kind of official chief priest. However, she was in age and she transitioned a few years ago. So he stepped in as a chief priest quite a long time ago. However, official ceremony for it were taking place only, Colleen, when you and William were having class there. So and we were blessed to actually be invited to walk in the temple and be present in the ceremony when he was officially becoming a priest. So just kind of being in that space was just extraordinary, because there was, I don't know exactly the number there, but there was another 50 priests there who came to support our chief priest of Mount Kurama. And when they were chanting all of them together, heart sutra called Hanya Shingyo in Japanese, the energy of them chanting at the same time, maybe probably once in a lifetime opportunity to witness that, was really amazing. So, and it was interesting because of this ceremony, the Sri Lankan monks also came as a guest, and since it was close to their time for their participation with World Peace ceremony, World Peace ceremony actually got shifted. And also timing was interesting for me, that, Colleen, it was the day between two classes that you and William were teaching. So, and because timing shifted, you and William were able to participate in that. And World Peace ceremony, I really liked the way they did it. One of that was that you would be having candle, and you would light the candle with next person, and you would spread the light, and the darkness of the world that we may experience we will kind of spread the light and bring the light and kind of push out the darkness of the world. So I personally feel that it was extraordinary also to be there in the temple. So yeah, just I will stop here for now. Maybe if Robyn or if Colleen, you wanted to say anything or add anything. I've been talking a lot, so I will stop here.
Well, I certainly have been experiencing quite an expansion from our time on Mount Kurama during the class, and it has been a really big spiritual expansion. And Robyn finally pointed it out to me one day that I kept trying to take myself back to where I was before. And finally, as she brought it up, like you have to be where you are now and allow the expansion. And I'm still in it. And it has been what we're well, I guess I've only been back 6 weeks, but it feels like longer than that, as
Yeah.
often happens. But it has been an extraordinary expansion within. And of course, also we did the fire ceremony, but I also want to hear about the full moon ceremony that that you guys will be doing in May and telling people what that's about in case anybody can actually attend that because you're going to have a class too, right? So,
Yeah.
but talk about the ceremony itself and what that's about.
Yeah, so one of the so Mount Kurama has quite unique festivals um, that people can experience, and it seems it's like really when I participate them, the energy of them are very unique, very healing, very. I personally deeply experienced that. So this last year I finally was able to match my timing and participate full moon ceremony. And for Mount Kurama, it's an annual event that they do around the May. So this year it will come around 30 or 31st of May on the full moon. So, I was able to take my Reiki student to the ceremony, and I was experiencing it myself. It's about from 2 to 3 hours event, and people are gathering at the main temple. So usually it's a lot of people. And again, you would purchase a candle, and when ceremony starts, and the energy of is so unique compared to other ceremony. Each ceremony has unique energy, and the ceremony of that, so in English they call it Wesak festival. In Japanese is Uesakusai, full moon ceremony, and I will read it. um, a mysterious festival with an international flavor celebrating the protected deity, which is held on the evening of the full moon in May. So, and people are gathering around that mandala, so no one able to step on the mandala around there, and all the ceremony happening mainly in the kind of space between main temple and the mandala, like that space. And um, then people, when ceremony starts, after they do, seems to me like their own way of invocation to start the ceremony, then they handle the light, and again the people having a candle, lighting the candle, and then you can see, because it's kind of, even they do it once it's become dark, then you can see how light physically starting to spread. And during the ceremony, you held the candle and you participate with the candle, like priest like guide you to like place your candle like more up, and you able to chant with the priest what he is saying. And it's just the whole beautiful, beautiful process. And then towards the end, they guide all the people to go actually on the basement of the temple, and then you walk out, and then you kind of circle back to where the priests sit, and then they give you a small amount of holy water, and then you take a sip, and you may take your candle back with you, or you may place it to the mandala there. So, and when they always say that once they finish a certain ritual during their ceremony, that's when clouds that hides the moon are going out, and you're able to see a full moon. And just like that, the whole experience are very like tearing, I would say. So I was so amazed. I was so happy. So I was like, how can I help people to experience that? So so we were able to have our facility organized during this time, which is very difficult to reserve for the training purpose. And we were able to reserve facility for our Holy Fire Karuna Reiki Masterclass on Mount Kurama. And during the hour class time, so we added additional day for our training, and part of our class will be participation into that ceremony. So, which is annual event for Mount Kurama. So I felt that I really wanted to share that. And visiting Japan in May is the beautiful timing of the year to go, because it is coming to the rainy season, which is not raining what people would imagine, but all the greenery already, all the leaves are already on the trees. Mount Kurama is turning really green. Weather is very pleasant usually. So cannot guarantee, but usually it's a very nice weather. So it's a beautiful time to travel to Japan, because you're avoiding this like big crowds when it comes to, let's say, sakura cherry blossom season. So I personally like to, my May, I would say my favorite months of Japan. Climate, it's very pleasant to be. Just in brief.
How many people are you taking in that class, Lena?
So the facility is very small. So we able to accommodate from 10 to 12 people maximum.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a very limited space.
But it's
And
a
you
very
and Muniqui
cozy,
are teaching it.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Both of you
very
are
cozy.
teaching.
It's a very cozy space.
It
Um,
is. It's lovely.
every time we are able to, classes are there, people are changed. That's the only way I can describe it, is that the facility and being on the mountain and being out of society and having that cozy space. People who are experienced practitioners have said to us that they are changed because of the experience of attending classes on Mount Kurama. And which is why we do it, because we know what it's done for us personally. And each time we're there, we see in real time how the experience of being there and the energies of it just does something for people. And then they take that back to their countries and their homes. And their friends will say, you're different from when before you left.
Oh, so true. And you take groups, but you also do individuals if people want to know about that. Kind of explain like even what a 1 or a 2 day.
Yeah, so we do, let's say, like people who bring their groups to Japan. So a lot of Reiki schools recently, what I observe are bringing their Reiki students to more like deeply connect with the roots of Reiki, to experience the energy of Japan, experience the energy of Mount Kurama, like kind of bringing close to experience what Usui Sensei had. What was the air he was breathing, the path he was walking. So people want to experience that. So we have been organizing like day visits with the groups to Mount Kurama. Also, people who are traveling solo or they traveling with the family. Um, you're welcome to reach out to us, and we do private visits to Mount Kurama where you can stay in Kyoto and come in the morning and until the evening. It's a 1 day trip. I don't suggest to combine it with other tourist activities. We suggest you to be in the energy of that space the whole day, and then you travel back to your hotel and you kind of rest. It's a full day trip. While people who are very in a physical fit, they hike really fast. They do Mount Kurama from down and go to another side like over like couple hours or but we suggest that even though you are in a good fit, for you to actually walk slow and really like feel the energy, because each spot vibrates differently. And sometimes just kind of standing for some time at certain location just feels very energizing. So when I take people like on our hike, I physically kind of stop and I start talk, or I say, hey, let's take a break here. Seems like they have benches here. It's a good place to sit. But what I'm actually doing is, it's like this is a pretty much good spot to be in also. And Mount Kurama actually vibrates differently through the day. So you may be able to come in the morning to the certain spot, and when you come in the evening on the same day, people say, oh, it feels different here than in the morning, for example. So it is kind of good to just experience slowly. And of course, people sometimes doesn't know what they're looking at. For them, it looks just a building. So it's good to have like guidance on what that is, and just have someone who will take you. So, and what I experienced with one of my latest group is that they were happy to rest their brain of figuring it out. Is because they just, and I was like, oh, I haven't thought about it. And yes, you have to write constantly, look the train time, you have to figure out what are the walk, what's going on here. So it was happy to just not think about that and just be in the energy. So we do kind of day visits like that also. And we teach on Mount Kurama, not always because of due to the weather on Mount Kurama. We only able to do either autumn or springtime due to the weather. We don't teach in winter and we don't teach in summer. So, and we suggest for people to avoid July and August for traveling. It's beyond hot and humid. And global warming seems like making it even more challenging. Uh, so we have our special classes that we teach each level twice a year. And sometimes we do these kind of small retreats on Mount Kurama also. So, yeah.
Where can people learn about that, Lena? Learn about all of those options?
They can go to our website, healinglandreiki.com, and there's a contact information. They can message to me directly and request their dates. Also, I don't know when exactly, but we're planning to add that offer also on our website in terms of day visit to Mount Kurama. In terms of classes on Mount Kurama, they can go on the healinglandreiki.com, select English language, and go to our classes and select the level of the training they're interested and select location, Mount Kurama, and they will be able to see details. Or if they're not able to figure logistics inside of our website, they're welcome to give me a message, and I will be providing links and all the necessary information they need.
Well, and just to clarify, you also teach in Kyoto. So you were mentioning that you teach a couple times a year on Mount Kurama, but in between those times, that's where
Yes.
you actually teach in your center in Kyoto.
Yes, the Kurama classes are special only a few times a year. If you don't see the dates on the website, the classes aren't available. But our location is very close. Our Healing Land Reiki Center is close to Mount Kurama, and there's many classes of all levels. Reiki 1 and 2, Reiki Master, Karuna Master are there also. So there's classes there at our center.
Yeah, so people who are traveling monthly, we teach all 3 classes every month in our Reiki Center in Kyoto. So people can join in person. So we do run also hybrid classes. We have people joining in person and we have people joining online. So those classes in our Reiki Center are run monthly, but Mount Kurama is the only selected time of the year special offer.
Well, and I should mention that you are also organizing for William and I again this year, 2026, on Mount Kurama, and I think it's both the master class and the Karuna class are 5-day classes, October 27th through November 2nd, and then I think it's November 5th through 10th, which all of that information is on reiki.org if anybody wants to look at it, or you can come to Reiki Lifestyle and find that out too. But we are so fortunate to have you that you support that as you shake your head, yes. She's being very kind, and how fortunate we are to have her organize the classes for us and make it such a special event that would not be the same without you. Also want to, I do want to make sure I also clarify that you do in-person and online sessions as well. So sometimes people are traveling to Japan and would love to have a Reiki session in person in Kyoto. So that is healinglandreiki.com. So just making sure I put that little bit in there for people too, because it truly is special. In Kyoto, there's, well, I've only really been to Kyoto and a little bit in Osaka and then Tokyo. Kyoto truly, I think you can spend weeks there and not leave Kyoto other than like the outside outskirts of it, like Kurama, the area around it and be fully happy with all there is to do there. For all the years I've been there now, I can still spend weeks just staying in Kyoto and of course up on Mount Kurama too. Well, share with us where you are now with everything. What is, I know you're doing the other the full moon ceremony, but also you guys are completing your licensed teacher training program in February. They are co-teaching the Corona class here with me online in February. So tell us about a little bit about your journey with that and how excited you are to be completing.
In truth, Colleen, when we in 2019, when we were going to the Reiki retreat for the first time, we were just like looking for, to get a ride from where we were to the location, and we happened to get a seat with yourself and the other LRMTs. We stopped at a restaurant to eat, and
Go ahead.
and so I honestly felt like I felt really nervous because I'm just this new face and I'm just trying to get a ride. I'm just trying to like find out what's going on or whatnot. And but a feeling came over me that was really, I found it like it was unusual and it was actually uncomfortable. It was like you belong at this table with these people. And I was like, I just got started. Some of these people have been doing this work for 10, 15, 20 years and more. Why would we belong at this table? And so that was just like something that came to me, but it was not like a big present. It was just a small thing. It's like, you belong at this table with the LRMTs. And it's like, okay. But we felt compelled almost like to really practice at the highest levels of professionalism. And we've completed all of our training and everything. It's like, okay, what's next? What's next to refine us, to help us to know what we don't know, so that when we interact with people, we are at our best, so that we can give to our clients and our students, we can serve them for their highest good. And this is from the LRMT program, the Licensed Reiki Mastership Program. And we didn't know how we were going to do it. We knew it was going to take a long time, but the thing that's been through it all is we've had a great mentor who has guided us, helped us. There have been many days of frustration and stress, but Reiki's been with us and guiding us through it. Many dark days, some days are brighter than others. But the thing that this program has done for us is stretched us and it's made me a better person. I can only speak for myself. It's made me a better person. And it's been a journey coming from where we were to where we are. Just our knowledge of doing our professionalism has gotten enhanced for us. And there's just, what's it? How can I say it? Boundaries and ethical rules that we have learned and we employ for ourselves that has really made a big difference for ourselves. And to be coming to the end of the program, as far as filling the requirements, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel is an understatement, but it's like the person who's been training for that ultra triathlon and you're like at the final like mile, then finally the final half mile, and to know that we're about to cross that line. To say exciting, it's not really exciting because in my own mind, I see it like this. It's like I actually have a vision of myself waking up. We finally finished the program. Okay, now what? Get up and go to work. No, 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 no. And this is all honestly. It's just like like the image would be like a movie, and you're like, at last, we're through the program. Now what? Get up and go to work. Okay, just get up and go to work. So it's not like, a big movie scene or something, but it's just like, okay, now do the work. And because it's all about truly honoring the traditions of Japan, but also the innovations that are helping to take Reiki and help it to spread to the future as a practical way of self-improvement for yourself and others. Okay.
Yeah, so just wanted to say that we're excited to be as myself, like Ukrainian, Monica is American. Did you say where you were born? No, I don't think you said.
I just heard, no, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I moved to Japan in 1998 full time. So I've been here since 1998. But before that, I started studying all things Japanese in 1995. So my knowledge of Japan, its culture, and it goes beyond Reiki. So, but yeah, to be the first African American Black person in the program, I'm really like, it's an honor and privilege. First doesn't mean last, but it's like, wow, it's a big honor.
Yeah, so we're kind of happy to be. I'm in Japan since 2003, Muniqui since 1998, and I'm from Ukraine. He's from America. We're in Japan, so we're happy to bridge between connection Japan, Ukraine, America, and other. And by us being able to speak English, I speak Ukrainian, and due to Ukraine being a former Soviet Union country, I do speak also Russian. So Monica speaks English, Spanish. I also speak pretty fluent Japanese. So we're able to also bridge a lot of languages, and with that, a lot of people who speaks those languages are welcome to come to Japan and study with us and have that extra language support that people need. So we don't work through the translators, so you're able to communicate directly with us. So we're basically excited to be, in addition to us being official representatives of Holy Fire and Karuna Reiki systems in Japan, and we're now also working to bringing ICRT animal Reiki system to Japan also. So in addition to that, kind of adding our LRMT licensed Reiki master teachers position in Japan for us feels a very big honor, I would say.
It is a very big honor on our end too. And I have to say it, you guys, but they truly have embodied William's quote, definiteness of purpose, sustained over time, always produces results. There are so many times that they have had to embody that. Honestly, for those of you listening, you guys have truly had some very significant challenges to walk through. And I'm both glad for you that you had Reiki to navigate all of it, but also the depth of your inner knowing and growth and who you are. And Muniqui, as you said, you wanted to be the most professional but also authentic person, that both of you have that authenticity. And it's been a journey. And I've been really honored to be on that journey with you. As we know, we've been here together now for 10 years, and Robyn also, with knowing you from the different times. And Lena was just here for animal Reiki and um, in person. And I'm thrilled for you. And you truly have embodied the the results that Reiki can bring in your life of, how do you go through really difficult times in a good way, in the way that you have done it, and then have these results now, even though some days it's really been like walking through mud. You guys have had some challenges. So I really want to express that for all of those listening, that Lena and Muniqui have really, they are very authentic and sincere, and bring, great energy with Reiki, and share, and how they share it.
Colleen, thank you for the kind words. And in reality, I'll just say it again. You and the love that you have shared and shown, and the care to help us and to mentor us through this process. They're great mentors in the licensed Reiki Master Teacher Program. They're great mentors. We're grateful that you have been ours, because you've really been there. And that is what the mentors do. You're really helping us by being there when we needed mentoring, and we have needed it a lot.
Well, mentoring goes both ways. You mentor me as I mentor you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robyn.
Thank you.
Also, you're a big part of it too.
And yeah, Robyn, thank you also, all that you have done, are doing, and will do, because great.
Yeah.
Well, we think of also, even with all the serendipity of it, I would never have had a podcast without Robyn. For you to even hear all the information, and she and her husband Sean brought the podcast together in 2012, and as you say, she was part of it already in 2015 when you heard it. But yes, I love all the serendipities and how it all works together. Well, as always, there's way more to keep talking about, but I think we'll go ahead and wrap up now. I know you guys are actually teaching a class today, and they joined us at 5 a.m. In Japan time. And so they are teaching a class today. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up today. HealingLandReiki.com. And you can find everything about them there. We're, of course, ReikiLifestyle.com. Robyn, you want to add anything?
Nope, I think that's good.
I think we're all set.
Yep.
Oh,
And
one more
yes,
thing. You
please
can
do.
find, well, thank you. You can find us also on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Healing Land Reiki. And so you can find us there and see things we post and share. And we also like to put little tidbits and news and helpful ways Reiki can influence your life on our social media also.
So again, you're Healing Land Reiki on social media. So Facebook,
And
Instagram, and I
Instagram.
know you're pretty active on Reddit too, Muniqui.
Yes, I am there's a few Reiki groups on Reddit. And if you ever look up The Brother in the East on Reddit or even on Instagram, that is me. We strive to share accurate knowledge, evidence-based Reiki information. That's on Reddit. On Reddit.
Great. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap up?
No, thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Robyn, and thank you all the listeners and viewers for taking your time and listening or watching. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. I know 5 a.m. is early for you. We share a room when we're on Kurama, and I'm an early night person. She's a late night person. I'm an early morning person. Well, she has to get up because we have class, but and timing, but 5 a.m. is very early for her. So thank you.
It's okay.
Take care of yourselves, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. And to your audience, may you have peace in this new year.
Yes, the new beginnings of 2026.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. ReikiLifestyle.com.